Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
And for the last time in 2025, the last time in December, and the last time on a Tuesday, welcome to Show Me Your Nuts. I am Stacy Braiuca, and I have a little bit more of a voice than I had last week. Not a whole lot, but I do have a little closer to my own voice. And then it's going in and out. I don't know. It's probably more like my hypno voice. So I had somebody last week tell me that my voice sounded soothing or something like that. I'm like, well, it's probably closer to what I use when I do hypnosis with people. That's right. It's a little closer. It's the rasp. There's a little more rasp there than I want when I do that. But anyway, Tuesday, last Tuesday of the year, last Tuesday of Show Me Your Nuts, because next week we're moving to Thursday. So it will now become Nutty Thursday every week instead of Nutty Tuesday. Or who knows what, it'll be Squirrely Thursday, or we'll have to figure that one out as we go along. So how's everybody doing out there? I see there's at least one person, and I have got to point out the new gorgeous GIF in the corner that Jessica created for me. He's just he's just all sparkly and squirrely, and I love him. So yeah, new stuff coming, right, left, and upside down. There's actually going to be a new opener, and I was a little bit on the sad side watching the old one roll out just now, going, oh, I know that new one's going to look, I know the new one looks amazing, but I'm like, oh, it's my first opener, and that's okay. I'll just have to go back and watch replays, right? I hope you go back and watch replays, because the show has evolved and is evolving. And that's kind of part of what today is about. As we all wrap up our year, we wrap up a 9-year, which is a closing year. We get ready to go into this fresh new feeling of 26. And it's interesting, since like just this last week, I started saying 25 and 26 instead of saying, or like 22, 24, 20, instead of saying 2025, 2026. And I'm wondering if that's part of that completion energy of not calling the years the same thing anymore. When I talk about I was, being a kid, I say in the 70s, not the 1970s. I say the 70s. Or I say, oh, well, such and such happened in 85. You don't say, we don't really say 1985 entirely. Maybe 1999 because of the significance of the turning of the millennia that year. but we don't really say the full year. And I was wondered why I caught myself saying, oh, it's, I'm done with 25, it's time for 26. Because last year I would have said, 2024, and I would have said welcome 2025. So it's interesting, lots of newness coming, and it feels amazing. And I don't even, I could have no clue. I didn't even haven't even looked up what the 6-7 BS was, Jessica. I have no clue what it is. I don't know if I want to know, to be honest. And yes, I'm drinking on camera this morning because of the voice and the being sick. So forgive me. One of my guilty pleasures that I still have is my Diet Dr. Pepper. And I have no intention or plan to change that right now. I've changed it before. I actually went without soda for quite some time. Now I just limit myself fairly strictly, not pretty strictly, but I do limit myself so that I'm not drinking 16 cans a day. That's just silliness right there. Usually I'm a one a day drinker. So that brings me, this whole change talk brings me to today's topic. Is today we're going to reveal, or kind of go a little more like last week into I want to set the stage and set the foundation for 26 and what Show Me Your Nuts is going to do. So Show Me Your Nuts, when I started this, I wanted to bring about awareness. I mean, the name of the show evokes lots of things about the word nuts. Lots of funny things, lots of serious things, things about breaking stigma, things about talking about things that we don't always talk about, and taking a deep dive into self that we don't always do. And the new evolution of the show is let's taking even deeper dive into that things we don't talk about ourselves. And it has evolved naturally. I did not, which if you know me, I'm I got the heavy planning gene from my mama, whom not only do I love, but cashew quilt outdid herself at Christmas. And I don't even have a picture of it to show on here. I can't believe I don't. So those of you who know cashew quilt, I'm going to put this picture up, and I'm going to go find the other picture because you got to see this. So I'll tell you about it while that's up there. Cashew Quilt is who I call, she was one of the first named squirrels on the show. And that's my mama. And she is a quilter. She makes amazingly beautiful things. Their art, they are the most amazing art ever. And she makes them, she cuts pieces of fabric up and makes them into new things, which you just by that, you gotta love that. I may have to do this way. I may have to just share my screen because I can't tech and oh, here I go. I was gonna say I can't tech and do show at the same time, but yes, I can. So she cuts pieces of fabric up, makes them into new things, and I thought cashew squirrel, that squirrel wrangler quilt that you see was the pièce de résistance. And it is. Don't get me wrong. For one, it won a ribbon. You can see the ribbon on it. And for, and it's named for Squirrel Wrangler. She made it for me, and it has my essence and such. But for Christmas last week, I knew a couple other people were getting, another person was getting a couple of quilts that were made for them. She had made it a point several times to tell me that. And so I thought, okay, I was okay with not getting a quilt. It's not like I expect them all the time from her, but I also, I wasn't upset at it at all. And then this dropped. Introducing the world to Mystical Squirrel. And if that is not one of the most gorgeous quilts on the face of the planet, I don't know what is. They're two different quilts. They're definitely two different quilts. One is, the artistic piece and whatever. Cashew quilt's about enough to be like a good size lap quilt. Mystical quilt is a curl up on the couch quilt. No doubt about it. And yes, I already have. So meet Mystical Squirrel. I'm gonna keep Mystical Squirrel here on my board because I might have to revisit Mystical Squirrel here and there. So nuts. Some people can be nuts about cutting up little pieces of fabric and creating things. So thank you for indulging me in my showing off one of my favorite things from this last week. It surprised me, it blessed me, and it is yummy to keep warm. So, and right now, what the hell? I guess we've got to do that. Welcome to. If you live in Missouri, we have bipolar weather. It literally, I don't usually diagnose weather. But it's actually been more like multiple personality weather. It's DID. The weather has DID because you don't know which one's coming out next. And it's either been, snow, wind, rain, hot, cold, drizzly, foggy AF, all of the things. I think we've had all of those things just in the last like couple days. Christmas Eve evening, it was so foggy coming home. I've not seen fog like that in a long time. Now, granted, I don't leave the house, but that's beside the point. So, and I know that the weather everywhere has been just interesting. So, we could make all sorts of conjectures about that, and there's lots of reasons that it probably could be, it should be, and is. But yeah, the weather has DID in Missouri right now. So I'm going to bring us back here. Bring me back. The show was created to demystify and destigmatize the word nuts. It was a play on words that was funny the first day we talked about it, and then got serious real quick. And then, I've brought you through some of my favorite topics for themes of the month. And I think that set a good foundation on understanding different things like connection, freedom, integrity, values, beliefs. What am I missing? Quantum. That set a good stage for subject matter, various pieces of subject matter. But I knew I wanted to be a little more even intentional in how I set the structure for the year. And like I said, got the planning gene from the quilt woman. And, anybody who can do that detailed of work. But I also have developed even more of a strong love of improvisation and doing things by the seat of my pants. I had to learn that because though I'm creative, I don't always like the idea of building an airplane while you're flying it. I'd rather build the damn airplane and then fly it. But I have come to learn, I've come to accept my strengths and confidence and know that I can build an appropriate airplane while I'm flying it. I know I can, I know that I am going to build an airplane that's going to fly while I'm flying it. And I think that's the confidence piece. So I still have the overarching planning gene. And that's what I want to present today is that overarching planning piece, but still know that through the process, it's going to also be impromptu and improv and creative, and it's still going to morph. And I'm okay with that. So, what I'm starting the plan with, instead of doing monthly show topics, like main topics like integrity or quantum or values or beliefs, I am going to take you this year. We're going on a journey in Show Me Your Nuts. And that journey is going to be through what I call it's not what I call, it's through 6 stages of change. So we're going to go through 6 stages in 6 weeks each. So we're going to do a chunk of each. And the first is going to be the desire to change. Because the first thing that happens in as we transform and change things is we realize that we want to change. It comes to our mind. It shows itself in the world. It pops up and says, "Oh, this right here, this sucks. You need to change it," or whatever reason. So we're going to do the first chunk we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive into what does that desire to change look like? What is the process? What happens during that? Where are the places, maybe where are the places we get stuck? Where are the places, how does that manifest in each of our lives? Because mental wellness overall presents change, causes change, compels us to change. Change is part and parcel of the mental wellness journey. If it change can be a part of the mental wellness journey when we get stuck in change, where we don't want to change. So Show Me Your Nuts is going to change this year. And here's, Jesse, you brought up one of the zingers. It's going to be interesting to talk about that alongside the idea when we realize we need to change, but we don't necessarily want to. And that's, you hit the nail as usual. I swear the girl's got a hammer and nails that go, "Oh, hit me here." And she's like, "Pop." And she just hits a nail right on the head. It just every time. I want to go to I want to go to a carnival row with you. Cause like you just like hit it right on the head. And probably every time. So yeah, talking about that we realized and there's a difference, I think, between a realize we need to change but don't necessarily want to, and that when we want to change, when we realize we want to change something. Because when we realize we need to change something but we don't necessarily want to, that shit's not going to happen. We have to get somehow to a place where we want to do the change, because we have free will and we're not going to go against our own free will even. And so if you don't necessarily want to change, shit ain't going to happen. Even, and if you had a hammer, I've heard you sing this so many times. And as usual, I wish you were sitting on the stage with me, because I just know. But I also know you've probably got 16 things you're doing at the same time besides watching me, and that's okay, because there's only 2 people watching today. It's everybody's sleeping late or something. So the first stage is desire to change. It's that we have the desire that we want to change, not necessarily it's not always the something we have to change, because coming at that, we're going to come at it 2 different ways. We're going to come at we want to change with an open heart, with a, hey, we're excitement, let's do this. Whereas we have to change, we're going to come at that with resistance automatic out of the gate. And that's not to say that you can't go from something that you realize you need to change, you realize you have to change, you realize it's going to be a smart idea to change, that you're going to be healthier if you change it, or the world forces something. There's 2 different kind of changes. And I think the one that I want to, it's not that we're going to focus purely on the one where you want to change, but that's where we're going to start. And I do want to have that conversation of what do you do when something happens around you where you realize that in order to continue with the world, you have to change to meet the world that way. Because if a person throws a pebble in a pond, the pond has to change. Well, you'd have enough pebbles going into the pond, you've got this, a hot mess of water going everywhere, pebbles going everywhere, and the pond is not coming back to equilibrium until everybody stops throwing pebbles in it. Well, if you've got people in your orbit, or even society, there's pebbles being thrown in that pond. You have to change in order to deal with those pebbles. And those are different kinds of changes than making change because, and I'm going to call it lasting intentional change. I'm going to have to think on that one. As usual, Jessica's making me think, because she's good at that. I think that's her. I'm pretty sure that that's one of the reasons she's on this planet, is to make people think. I am absolutely sure of that. I attended the final show of the season for Project Joy yesterday, and talk about making people think, hearing about how that show started, that the intentional change that Jessica made to that ended up bringing that show into existence, the intentional change of writing 52 things down that brought her joy, and that that little change, that little pebble she threw into a pond is now has become a 6-year running show. That's what happens when people change. You do something small, and by small, I don't mean easy. Don't get that mixed up, because writing 52 things down that bring you joy is not a tiny, easy feat. It's small in comparison. Writing that list is small in comparison to a 6-year show, but everything is contrast and comparison, and in context, and that little bitty rock she threw into that pebble she threw into that pond has become not only one show, but and then the network and what Project Joy brings to the world, including a brand new song that just is available for pre-download. And hopefully somebody will be putting that in the chat. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. As I look back over to the comments section to see if it happened yet. if you would love, I'd love to have you drop that show or that new that your new song in, Jessica, because it's a game changer. It's beautiful. And it's an example of intentional change, the whole thing, the whole show. So before I go too deep down, like just that desire to change, because that's next week's show, right? We're going to start in, and we're going to go 6 weeks deep into just the desire to change. Is let's look at the these each of these chunks. So you've got the desire to make a change. Then we're going to talk about igniting whys and committing to transformation and surface desires versus deep desires. And we're going to, maybe throw out some tools and techniques and things to do when you kind of just have that inkling of that you need to change something. Then stage 2, and this one is both my favorite and my least favorite at the same time, is you've got to take responsibility for your own shit. And this is, we'd think about it as maybe, oh, that makes sense. But when you really dig into it, you've got to go deep with this one, or it's maybe it's going to stall you out. And so let me explain a little bit. Taking responsibility for your own shit doesn't just mean taking responsibility for your behaviors in general and what you do. It's taking responsibility for your part in whatever it is that you're wanting to change. If you heard me tell my story last week, I talked about I had to take responsibility for the fact that my lack of exercise was what had gotten me into the physical condition to not just intentionally, but very seriously think about what exercise is, what it does, and what I need to do with to change my health. Because if I didn't change my health, I was going to have some problems, more problems than I had. And I think that's not uncommon for somebody in their 50s. I think that happens to all of us in our 50s. I just had a really good friend from childhood had a triple bypass last week, and thankfully she is released and home now and doing well. And so I'm gonna I'm thinking about her as I'm saying this, but you've got to take, as I'm saying, health conditions of those of us in our 50s. So, but then taking responsibility for your own shit. You've got to take responsibility for your own part in whatever it is you're talking about that you are thinking about changing. If it's, I want to, soda is going to kill me, my responsibility in it is that I keep going back to the store and buying more. By the way, not making the change right now. The change right now is I'm still drinking it. At the same time, I'm taking responsibility that I'm drinking something that I know I probably shouldn't be drinking. And right now, that's not my focus on change. But there's a really fine line, and it's a challenge to own your own responsibility and not blame others versus the pebbles that other people have thrown into your pond that have effed with you. I mean, because that's absolutely a part of the equation. And I'm not saying that those things or other people's actions don't impact us, because they absolutely do. Their actions are part of the equation. I can't take responsibility for their actions. The only one I can take responsibility for is my part in the whole thing. And so when it comes to changing things, I'm the one that has to take that part of the responsibility. And I think I see somebody lurking. Does that mean that you're ready to come come in and hang out. Uh-huh. So, um, I watch what I'm doing here. Uh, I am going to. Oh, I see people in the green room. So please welcome surprise guests. The beach squirrel and giggle squirrel themselves.
Hello, happy season finale.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you believe I'm not sure if I like I'm not sure if I've totally grasped it that this is
Right?
like a season finished.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm not even sure that I planner that I am. And you and I both like we geek out on our planning,
Yeah.
like color codes and all sorts. And we frequently we do as much planning of change as we do impromptu change.
Yeah.
And when I started this, I don't recall ever thinking about one. I don't know that I thought about like what would a season look like?
Mm-hmm.
When would that end? I just thought about, okay, let's do a quarter of the year and then let's do another quarter. And they happened to roll out, the way they did. And I didn't think about, oh, wait, that would be a season. And I need to have a break of the season, even though I'm not taking time off of a break.
Yeah.
Who knows? That may happen in the future. The show is going to evolve again. And normally back in the day, I would not have been okay with that, but I am so fine with it now. It's not funny.
It's exciting. It's exciting. The season finales and the season premieres are such wonderful milestones, and I don't think I ever really planned for it either. I didn't know how it was going to feel. I didn't know that it was going to like really signify such an incredible change. And because you can, when you get to the finale, you just and you'll see how this goes for you as time goes on, but for me, like, I always get very sort of nostalgic this time of year, and I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, like, look at how far we've come, look at all of the amazing things we put out into the world, and we're still doing it, which is, it's actually very much in the minority because most shows don't even last a full season.
Oh, I've had multiple ones. I've had multiple shows that didn't last a full season. And as a matter of fact, now that you say that, I talk about intentional change and responsibility for your own shit.
Yeah.
Because I remember back when I was, at the beginning of last year, I actually wasn't even for sure where my business was going. This time last year, I wasn't for sure where my business was going. I wasn't for sure what I was going to do in things. And I had a what's called a deep dive session with our friend Paula. And apparently there were some things I said to her in that session that have come to fruition that I forgot all about. One of which was closing my agency, my software agency. I think one of them might be the show itself, because a year ago I was not even considering having a live stream show.
Yeah.
I did last year in November, the previous year in November, I had done a Napod Pomo, where I did little bitty podcasts once a day for 30 days. And that was fun. It actually, another colleague of ours joined me in that. He did the same thing, and he now has a show. Shawn Michaels' show was launched out of that adventure that he and I had.
Yeah.
Because I was like, hey, here, everybody, just as I do. Hey, come try this. Hey, come try this. I'm
Yeah.
I'm the instigator in the group.
It's the imperfect action though, and things like that. Like
Mhm.
we convince ourselves of any number of the reasons why we can't or shouldn't or not the right timing or whatever do anything. And
Or
so
that we have to do it perfect when we do
right,
do it.
right. And so if you just do it, then most of the time I found for me that it knocks a lot of those assumptions that I had just completely. It's things that I made up,
Yeah.
whatever we do to keep ourselves stuck in the same place. And so I just do it. I just
Yeah.
do it.
You use the
Yeah.
Nike theory.
But
Yeah, just do it. It's I think I've gone from that serious planner gene that I got. I had to I had to come into my own in my confidence
mm,
that because really long story is my confidence got knocked, and I think I've told part of this with the sixth grade math teacher that started that adventure for me.
mm,
Um, I'm not sure if I want to thank her or not. I actually have this I'm compelled to thank her in that it started a journey that I have now completed.
mm,
Is it of knocking my confidence down, knocking it down, knocking it down, knocking it down, knocking it down.
yeah.
I had to, in order to change that, I had to go through this process I'm talking about where, it was taking my own responsibility for how did I allow myself to get knocked down? How did I knock myself down
Right.
in that confidence? And, why did that happen? But regaining the confidence
Mm,
has caused me to be able to feel more comfortable in my own creativity because I can put something creative out and not give a flying F what
yeah.
anybody thinks of it.
Right.
You know, it used to be that I would get really upset. It would knock me down like multiple pegs if I put something creative out and somebody was giving it critique, no
Mm,
matter how they were doing it. It would be, oh, you're not worthy.
mm,
Not this thing is not what somebody else sees as whatever. And it didn't even have to, or that I had to have it perfect or all the things.
yeah.
Right. And now I'm like, I'm absolutely happy now with done is better than perfect. Frequently. Sometimes to my own detriment because I'll put something out and it'll have the wrong. Last year, I know that there were several show graphics that had an error on it because I was moving and grooving so fast. But that Stacy moving fast thing wasn't always there. It
Mm,
used to be that Stacy moved so slow that things didn't come out into the world at all. I
right.
didn't allow them out because they couldn't be allowed out until they were picked over with such a fine-tooth comb that by the time they came out, they were way too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes now I go away onto the other side is I put them out way too fast. But I don't I'm okay with that.
Mm,
I'm okay with that because I'd rather put out a little bit of imperfect here and there.
yeah.
And and I think a piece of me is wanting to catch up with all of the create that I didn't get to do because I knocked myself down with my own confidence.
Mm,
And so there's like a volcano. There's so much,
yeah.
this Stacy volcano was dormant for so long that now once things are it's every once in a while it's like, oh, there she goes, she's going out,
Yeah.
got an eruption again.
And eventually that'll come to some sort of medium, it'll
Eventually
be
it
because everything in its time, I keep hearing that in my head over and over and over again lately to just allow things to have their time, even if people don't
mm,
understand it or you don't even understand it. Like maybe you're sick of your, I've said a
yeah.
few times this week, God, I am sick of my own self, like,
Oh,
um,
tell me about it.
and
Right.
so, but even that self that I'm sick of needs to have its moment, like,
Yeah.
and I've got to work through that to get to the next part.
And I think that's actually a part of the journey of change too.
Mm,
I really think that sometimes we have to there's a situation where we know there's something we might want to change, but it has to go through its own process before it gets to that point. My journey with the confidence thing, I wanted to change it for years, but I had to wait until it got to that right point before I did change it.
Yeah.
And then, so, and kind of back to the last year piece, when I looked at the beginning of the year, I had no idea I was going to do a live show. And then I had no idea I was going to get rid of this software agency that I had nurtured and grown. I had an idea of how I wanted to roll out Squirrel Wrangler, how Squirrel Wrangler was going to be in the world. But it also wasn't quite, the pieces weren't all fitting back into the puzzle the right way. I'd thrown them all up in the air, but enough times before, sometimes out of frustration, and they weren't falling back into the right place. And last year when I threw them up in the air and our friend Paula helped me, they were falling into the right place. And I could see there was an end, not an end, but I could see there was this change to it. But I still didn't see all of it. Right. And flash forward to November and Thanksgiving weekend, and I put together my first ever business plan. I've been in and out of business for myself since 2001. Never had a business plan until now. Never had a full strategy plan. And all of the pieces from this head, all the chaos in here.
Yeah.
The puzzle pieces all fell down and went, here we go. And now the show for Show Me Your Nuts, the year plan for it didn't fall into place until last week. It came afterwards. I had to go through them in an order. And so first the business plan, then the strategy plan for the year, then the marketing plan for the year. And then here comes Show Me Your Nuts plan. And it just brought everything together.
Yeah.
And a year ago, I would have said, what, if somebody would have shown me this show and said, here you are, here's a year from now, I would have said, you're effing nuts. That is not me. Who is this? Who is this woman on stage with me? What is she talking about? Why is she, talking about having to have a project to have joy? Why is she talking about breakthroughs? Why does she look so amazing and have all of her stuff together when underneath she like a duck paddling under the water with, so quick? Like she looks so calm and peaceful, and then she's like a duck paddling underwater. And
it's all a facade.
I don't say the word duck lightly there. I very purposefully use the word duck.
Well, did you see? So I brought something with me today. Did you see it? Because this is what I realized when I come to reflection time. One of the things that I realized, yes, the show has changed over the year or whatever, when I reflect on it, but I've changed a lot. And there's a lot of things that have happened and ways that the shows change me. And I feel like almost like not on purpose. It just does it. And, and so I felt
lives.
Right. I felt very strongly that Beach Squirrel needed an upgrade. There needed to be a Beach Squirrel 2.0.
So, is it? I see 2.0.
Yeah.
Beach Squirrel 2.0. Oh, of course.
I mean,
look at Beach Squirrel. Beach Squirrel's eating a cannoli on the beach in her shades, in her purple suit.
Yep.
With her friend, the blue duck.
My friend, the blue duck. There.
And if y'all don't know, you talk about get yourself ready for change. So if Show Me Your Nuts is going to walk you through change and walk you through the stages of change this year, the Blue Duck Society is going to help you take those stages of change and put them into action. Am I on target there?
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I love that you're going to be talking about change because, you know, my first book that a solo book that I ever released was an ebook called Coping Through Change.
Mhm.
And then several years after I released that book, I decided to make it into an actual paperback. But I, again, realizing how much I had changed, I knew that there were things in the book that needed to shift, including the title, because I
Mm.
realized that I was not just coping, I was thriving with the changes. And so I changed the
Ah.
title to Thriving Through Change, which you can get the book on Amazon. And it takes you through all of the things that I do basically to maintain my joy when everything, I mean, life is supposed to change. That's
Mhm.
the big realization that I had, is like, okay, here I am panicking about something that is inevitable. You know, that things are going to shift and change.
Tell me about it, right?
Why am I getting upset about something that's, I mean, I have a choice now. I can be upset and anxious and fight against the current, or I can swim with it and just go. And, you know, so I think talking about change is so important, because we don't do it a lot, because we simultaneously know that change is changing all the time, but at the same time we don't like it, we fight against it, we're
Yeah.
mad, we're like complaining about it all the time. So
Yeah.
then we don't talk about it like in a constructive way. So I think it's going to be good, and then you can come into the other spaces when you know that you can just come swim with the current with us,
Or the cute little ducks.
or the ducks. Yeah.
Because if you happen to have that one picture with the little
Let me
ducks,
see. Let me see if I have it
I'd
here.
love to actually both. I'd love to show people both of the pictures. If you're looking for those, is the first book I had. What and I, it's really sad when you have to look up your own book's title,
Mm,
because you didn't title it. You titled it based on. I went through a challenge. That's how it happened. Um, I went through a challenge to write. Um, my first book I wrote in like less than 2 weeks, and it was because of a challenge that I went through.
mm.
So in a group, and this was boy, now I don't even remember which year, because I didn't plan on looking at this morning, guys. May 5th, 2023 was when
Mhm.
the first book I wrote came out. Unleashing Your Unstoppable Destiny. So that was my first book, and it is on Amazon too. And I'll put it in the chat for people. So Unleashing Your Unstoppable Destiny: 10 Traps That Unfulfilled Corporate Executives Should Avoid to Fearlessly Remember Their Future and Live an Authentic Life. Talk about a title.
Mm.
So then here comes the second one, also from the same challenge, just to see if I could, repeat the process. And and don't get me wrong, they're good books. They're and there's another couple books coming, but they're going to be written differently. The second one is Unlocking Your Fearless Potential: A Fear Conqueror's Guide to Eliminate Stagnation and Embrace Transitions. Both about change, both about unlocking your power, unlocking your potential, and changing.
Mm.
What's not in those books? What's in those books, but not in the not as it could have been, was not just this process I'm talking about, but I have a signature process, a signature framework that I've always wanted to write a book about. And it's that we have to look at connections, our human connection with each other, our connection with our habits, and our connection with digital.
Mhm.
Then we have to look at congruence and become congruent with ourselves, other individuals, and the universe, so that then we can look at change. And then what we do when we look at change then is we look at our past for information. We look at the present so we can live in the present with joy. And then we create our compelling future, and we remember our future memories. And I say that on purpose of the remember future memories. It sounds weird. It doesn't sound weird on purpose, but I say it purposefully, of remembering future memories. How can you remember something that hasn't freaking happened yet? And it is possible. It's part saying, talking about visualization, but it's not part and parcel of that. It's actually describing a way that our unconscious mind works. So one of my favorite visuals of my life is the one here, and that is Stacy at 2 years old or so, visualizing her future memory of Stacy at 57. On a MacBook, of course, with Stacy as Alice standing there going, huh? And you also can see my new little 26 logo over there, for those of you who don't know. But that's my favorite picture because it embodies what I help people do now, which is remembering their future memory on purpose so that they can move forward into the future memory. I mean, I'm not going to go into the process, but you've got to figure out what it is you want to change first. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about that first block. And I'm not sure if I remember when I first heard of ducks, because ducks was already a thought in your head.
Yeah, it was probably like halfway through the year.
But that's what I mean. It was probably about the time Show Me Your Nuts started.
So probably a couple months after that.
Yeah. And so you guys, this picture of Jessica and the baby blue duck.
I love the baby duck.
That is, and the reason I love this picture is not just the little furry blue duck and how fuzzy blue duck and how sweet it is. It's the gentle, nurturing visualization of you saying, this is my, and I'm going to take it off screen to show you my own hands, is, this,
Yeah.
look at this beautiful little creature, and the nurturing gentleness that you have in that picture with that duck. And then, of course, the duckling.
You know what? My son pointed out that there are 6 ducks there.
Oh,
isn't that funny? And I have 6 children. So
you have 6 little ducks.
Yeah.
So you have 6 children. So your flock in your house is of 6. How many are currently already signed up to be blue? How many people?
Let's see.
Who are not your children, but are signed up to be blue ducks in the blue ducks?
I think we have 5 of us right now. So we're getting.
They definitely need.
Yeah.
If you're interested, and I'm not just saying this because of of Jessica being amazing. I'm saying it because she's amazing, but not just because of that. Is if you have something that you already know you want to change, and you've already been through that process of change, and it's something you want to put out, and you have this blue duck that you're nurturing, that you're looking at going, oh, look at this little furry, fuzzy, cute little thing. I want to bring it into the world. And instead of just going, oh, I want to bring it into the world, you're ready to take responsibility for nurturing it and bringing it into the world.
Well, here's the interesting thing, and what I'm witnessing a lot right now, which proves to me that the Blue Duck Society is something that's needed in the world. I have been watching over and over and over friends of mine who are super smart and super gifted in their own, in their own lanes and their things that they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but they're complicating everything that they do. And it's taking longer. It's taking, like, hello, you have so many people that could help you. You have
Yeah.
so many people that could go, hey, let's take these ideas, let's teach you how to put your blinders on and pay attention and go, so that you can get the ideas out into the world
Yeah.
quicker, and in a way that doesn't create so much stress for yourself and for other people. Like,
Yeah.
there's just no need for us to waffle on the way that we do, or waddle around. We'll use the same language, waddle around the way that we do around these ideas, when there's so many different ways that we can help each other. And
Absolutely.
so there's
And
I'm just watching. It's so painful for me right now. It's literally happened about 3 times this week already.
and I'm
And it's
gonna
Tuesday.
I'm going to also bring the ducks alongside this change process that I'm talking about. And the reason is because I think the ducks happen in stage 4. So let me run down the floor, just because of time. I want to run down all 6 of these stages that we're going to go through for the year. And I kind of talked about them last week. Is the desire to change, like we just talked about, taking responsibility for your own shit, getting rid of baggage, releasing the negative beliefs, negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and baggage around all the things. Because if you do not do that before you create the compelling future, and before you work on your duck, you haven't released all your stuff about the things, you're not going to be able to create that duck. You're not going to be able to do it unless you've released those things. Now, there's multiple processes, the ways you can do that. There's and you can work on creating that compelling future, but it's not going to come out. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard, and it's going to not come out on time.
See, I'm going to quack back. I'm going to quack back.
Quack
on
all
that.
you want.
I'm going to quack back on that one, because one of my biggest things that held me back was believing that I had to do everything myself. And until I got in there and started realizing the power of creating with other people,
Absolutely.
then I was able to go back and go,
And you
now
may
I
not-
can get rid of that belief because I've seen it for myself. And so sometimes things come out of order for
well,
people.
and what I mean by what I mean by this is you can't come into full fruition. You can't take the thing fully into process, because you're going to backslide and go forward, and backslide and go forward, and backslide and go forward, unless, and I don't mean like that particular limiting belief you're talking about, you had to go through that process. But here's my query. What if you could have released that limiting belief without having gone through that experience, and you could have released it before that, such that you could have propelled everything out faster, farther, sooner than you did?
I will say that I think that things happen in the order in which they're supposed to happen.
Absolutely, every
And
time. Absolutely,
so
every time.
so it doesn't serve me to go, what would have happened if I.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. Mic drop on that one. I agree.
but
Yeah.
like, I really feel strongly that there's absolutely, there's points and the good ones to every phase of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel that when we experience those things we all will experience them in the order we're meant to, because there's a lesson to be had there. And if we go in an exact order, that might not have taught us the same lesson. That might not be what each of us as individuals needs.
And let me take that one step further, because what I'm talking about is that when there is still, because I went through the confidence thing, that confidence lesson, over and over and over and over again. I didn't fully break it until I went through this process very specifically and very purposefully. I went through the process of thinking about exercise over and over and over again. And I didn't break through it until I went through this process. So what I think we're talking about the same things that, and what we're saying is you go through, you have to go through the learnings. You have to go through the learnings, and going through the learnings is a process that doesn't have a direction or a path or things. What the piece I'm talking about and the things I'm going to walk you through is an intentional way you can walk through things. Not that it fast tracks, but it's a way to ensure getting rid of the old stuff so that it does not hold you back. And keep all of those lessons that you're talking about, that you learn in the Wandery path, that you have to have, you because those lessons are vital for the moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Those lessons are vital for moving forward. So here we go. 7 is a spiritual number, and I may have to change my whole structure of thinking on this to 7 stages, because the first one is the Wandery path that we have to take to learn the lessons. We have to take to gather the information, to gather the things, and then the desire to make a change in a small place, then taking responsibility of our thing there. The getting rid of the limiting beliefs and negative emotions is not always it's not the conscious part of the journey. Because I really appreciate what you're talking about of, you would not have been able to get rid of that belief you had that was a conscious belief that was driving where you were going. You wouldn't have been able to get rid of that without going through the journey and understanding that other people could help you, and that those other people were in fact going to nurture you, and you had to go through an experience to figure that out. The one I'm talking about are the things that are underneath, that are running in our unconscious mind, things we have to do there, because those things aren't conscious. They're not in they're not in the learning path. They're not in the experiential path. They're things that are driving us from underneath that we're not always aware of. And it's getting rid of those that help propel us forward in maybe it's in a larger way. This is like, it's even bigger than a Trojan duck. And if you don't know what that is, well, theblueducksociety.com. I'm just going to call that way. If you don't know what I mean by a Trojan duck, then you have to come find out. I'm not going to tell you. But this is bigger than that. This is bigger because these are the unconscious patterns that make us fall down, even when we have our best intentions, our best help around us, our best everythings. And this is a different level of change. This is not, it's a different level. It's the unconscious part. So then we create a compelling future. And I know that creating a compelling future and SMART goals and those things, that's not always easy either. And I know from the beginning of the Blue Duck that what I've experienced of the Blue Duck Society, I went into our first workshop thinking I was going to have this little bitty cute little duck, and thinking I'm just going to work on I'm going to compartmentalize down and work on just this little thing. And then I found out that it was a little duck that he had wandered off, and he came from this big place where there were lots of ducks and squirrels. And that what I was actually thinking about was a much larger thing that then I had to work on the little things with. And I never would have been able to go through the design process of that without going through the magical piece that you're providing in a safe space. So I'll say Blue Duck Society creates a very safe space for you to work with others, to bring that and nurture that little blue duck and bring it into existence. So I see the Blue Duck Society in these other stages. This creating a compelling future, taking action is the next one, and taking action is a huge part of Blue Duck Society, and then maintaining focus. And I think if there's something holding you back from being able to figure out what your little blue duck is and bring it into existence, come talk to me so that I can help you blast out some stuff so that you can join us, because it's time to move.
Quack.
It's a 1 year. It's time to bring new things. We're bringing blue ducks and squirrels into the world. If your squirrels are running around and you don't know what's jacking with your head, and you can't figure out how to cage the little bastards, come talk to me. I'm the Squirrel Wrangler. We'll cage your squirrels so that then you can come over and join us and waddle your little blue duck into existence, because everybody's blue ducks need to come into existence. And it is a 1 year. If you add up 2 plus 2 plus 6, you get 10. You add up 1 and 0, you get 1. And it's so 1 and 1 is the beginning. It's time to bring your baby blue ducks into existence and have the squirrels caged back there where they need to be in their little cages doing their thing so that they don't bother the ducks, so that the ducks can come into existence.
There it is.
That, my friends, is magical.
It's quacktastic.
It's absolutely quacktastic. It is nuttily quacktastic. The nut puns and the duck puns are unlimited.
There's a lot of puns that happen within the Breakthrough Show Network.
Yeah, we're a punny group.
We are, and we had our final ladies' night last night inside.
Oh, here she goes. She's going to tell me about what I missed.
I hurt so bad afterwards because I have not laughed that hard in a very, very long time. And we found out so this is how it ties into what you're saying. We were doing the looking at the calendar. Our next one is actually happening at the last Monday in January, and it's the day is a 1 as well. So it's like the one of the one. It's so I'm so excited about so many of the things that are happening right now that are just synchronistic, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We are the world just came in my head. Don't know why for sure, except that like we are one.
Yeah,
we are the world. We are we are the ducks.
That's it.
We are the squirrels. We are the ducks. If your squirrels are too crazy, I'm gonna say it one more time. If I say it 16 times otherwise, get your squirrels in their cages so that you can get your ducks in a row.
At least in the same pond. I'm not always a fan of the row, so we're just gonna put them in the same pond.
So get your squirrels in their little cages so you can get your ducks in the pond.
That's it.
And come join Jessica and I in 26. If you're not sure what your squirrels are doing, I'll help you get that straightened out so that then you can nurture that beautiful fuzzy little blue duck into existence. I think that's a wrap. I think that's a wrap. And it would never have happened had I not taken a leap of faith of show. I'm going to start a show. And build this plane while I'm flying it, and it never would have happened had I not had my squirrels in their cages. And now I'm going to nurture some ducks and squirrels. So I've just got a menagerie going on here. This is a wrap for the first season of Show Me Your Nuts, and it would not have been possible at all without the Breakthrough Show Network. There would not have been a show. There would not have been a show called Show Me Your Nuts without the Breakthrough Show Network. It just would not have happened. I would not have been able to sustain and grow otherwise. Again, like I said earlier today, you guys look at the gorgeous new and wait till you see the other new stuff coming. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. There might even be a new studio next week when I see you guys. This room might look a little different. Not huge different, but there might be some differences in the studio. You never know. I will see you guys next week, not on Tuesday. You can sleep late on Tuesday. I will see you on Thursday morning at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central for season 2's premiere of Show Me Your Nuts.
Yay.
And until then, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And that pretty much leaves the door wide open. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the Breakthrough Show Network. We've still got another couple days to reach. Are we close to 1,000?
We're very close. We've got
Oh,
it's not a lot. We're getting there.
Yeah, we've still got a couple days. We can do it.
Yep.
We'll see you guys next year.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.